it's the Liars4Hire Lite. Everybody, hi, everybody, welcome to the show.
Welcome to Liars4Hire Lite, where we're going to be interviewing different types of clowns, and I'm going to make Chase really mad.
Okay, no, because I know what direction you would be willing. You want to take that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. If you've been paying attention to the Twitterscape recently, you may have noticed an uptick in a certain. You know what? I would say a certain type of clown. It's a certain specific clown, and I've got opinions on it, but I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to talk about that. So I would love to talk about anything else, Jackson. If you have any other ideas.
Chase doesn't like Mo.
No, I love.
I'll move. I will move on.
I love Mo. It's that big titty bimbo who keeps besmirching the name of clowns, all right? Clowns are not scary and they are not sexy. They are funny. That's what clowns are and should be. And I'm a traditionalist clown, all right? I like traditional clowns. Uh-huh.
Okay, what would you call clown? Can I say like a performance medium?
A clown? You mean clowning?
Yeah, well, like just like because I'm trying to think of like what are other performative mediums or other mediums that you could say could be both
opera singer, ballerina,
so a ballerina could be both a performative piece but also sexy is what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like what other medium could be like more than what it is?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that it within the medium that it is. So okay, so there's a clown code of ethics, and I think it's like number 3 or something of like the 6 or 8 of them that there are. That it is not verbatim, but it's basically while in costume and within the view of other people, you cannot drink, you cannot smoke, you cannot perform any adulterous acts, you cannot you cannot engage in any lewd or otherwise sexual activities. That's like. You can't do that in costume. When you're in costume, you're in character,
right?
And if you are a not I don't want to. It's okay. It's hard to talk about this because when I talk about what I think clowns should be, I start using similar vocabulary to like what fucking conservatives say.
Well, I mean,
this isn't about what I think about brown people. This is what I think about fucking people who put on white makeup and honk horns and have water squirt out of their flowers.
Conservatives have adapted vocabulary to match what they want to hear. When it's a performative piece of art, that's where they stole it from, because certain art forms are to be performed in certain aspects and can be altered in some way with the clown. So in my head, my understanding of performative history, clowns are one end of a spectrum. They are the most like fun, happy side of that spectrum. You go further down to something more depressive, you get in the middle, which is ballet and ballerina and theater plays and stuff. And then
opera.
Well, opera is the very end of that spectrum. That's like very serious. Opera is super serious. Say. Opera is like there is literally the most famous like piece of like performative media that most modern day like cartoons and stuff make fun of is the sad opera singer clown. Opera is the saddest end of that spectrum. My question was like not what are different forms of clowning that can be perceived in different ways. I'm just like, outside of clowns and all their forms that they evolved into, what other pieces of media could be interpreted what they wanted to be interpreted as, but also be like sexy or scary? Because like you have,
that's the thing, is that it's a unique situation with clowns specifically, and I should say this is an American phenomenon. This is something that happens in America. This is not a thing that happens in the UK or Japan or Spain or anywhere else. In those places you can probably still find clowns that have good work and aren't harassed. This is a uniquely American phenomenon that I think started really with Pennywise. Which makes sense because in it was specifically something that was designed like a lure fish, used to attract kids so that the alien could eat them. And with that, people became afraid of clowns. And in the 1930s, people weren't necessarily afraid of clowns. People were there was a much grander acceptance and appreciation for the art of clowning. And there still is to some extent, but like not like traditional like whiteface clowns, not like it's more like August clowns and rodeo clowns and stuff like that. It's so weird and very frustrating for me to see the how, you know, and it's not, I want to say, it's like, I don't even think it's a real fear anymore. I think it's just like part of the zeitgeist where people are like, I'm scared of clowns, because like they perceive clowns as things that are scary. If you go to Google Images and you look up clown, you know, 70% of the images are going to be like, scary clown mask, you know, shit like that. Stuff, you know, associated with fucking murderers and horror creatures, you know, and monsters and stuff like that. And it's frustrating to me. And I wasn't always like this. Like, this isn't like an appreciation for clowns that I had since I was a child. This is something that I've thought about a lot since, you know, maybe I was 16 or 17 years old. Where I've thought it was around the time that the clown attacks, you know, the alleged clown attacks were happening, where people were allegedly getting attacked by clowns, which I think is a bunch of fucking hoopla. That's a scam. I know that every single one of those videos were 100% staged, guaranteed. Like, nobody, like that. Come on, don't be stupid. But you know, that's when I started thinking, like, what are clowns really? Are clowns like scary actually? No, they're not. The clowns are not scary because, like, I understand how... I know I'm sort of just rambling at this point, but, you know, this is something I have a lot of thoughts about. I understand somebody who might be disguising themselves in a way could be interpreted as scary in a private setting or a dark hallway or fucking whatever. But if you put a doctor in a fucking like a private setting or a dark hallway, that's not something related to clowns. If you put a fucking somebody in a full firefighter mask and you met them in a dark hallway, that'd be scary. You know, that's not something specifically tied to clowns. And then I thought about, like, okay, well, do clowns do scary things? No. Clowns don't do scary things. Clowns fucking slip on banana peels and put pie in their face and, you know, put whoopee cushions down. If you ever look up, like, Cirque du Soleil Best of Clowning, that is one of my favorite videos. It is clowns are literally people who exaggerated personas who keep getting shit happening to them. Like, they are unfortunate characters. That's what they are. Is you gotta laugh at their misfortune. It's fucking Schadenfreude. And there are some really, really good acts in that video. If you Cirque du Soleil Best of Clowning, I highly recommend it. Clowns don't do scary things. People have a warped perception of clowns because of what the media has done to them, and it is a unique thing too. Because Black Swan didn't make people scared of ballerinas. You know, fucking Phantom of the Opera didn't make people scared of opera. You know, it kind of did in a way. That's more like stage, like theaters. Okay, not so much like actual like opera singers. Go ahead. I
was going to make an amendment to your previous statement. It wasn't the 1990 Stephen King's It film. I think that started that. I think it was the Killer Clowns from Outer Space that was in 1988. I think that's what kind of made it more mainstream.
I thought the original TV series of It was in the 1970s.
1990.
Oh, I had no idea.
1990s Stephen Curry, fucking Pennywise clown TV series. And then you have the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in May something of 1988. Of my weird niche film knowledge.
That might have started it. Because like that's definitely the time when like slasher horror flicks. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, you said fic. That's going to lead into my next point, but keep going.
Yeah, because like, you know, that's the era of fucking Halloween and Friday the 13th and you know, fucking Freddy Krueger, shit like that. So it makes sense that in an era where a bunch of horror icons were being born, you know, people would have it imprinted in their minds that, oh, clowns are scary and they want to kill you. I think the same thing should have happened to white men in Revenge of the Nerds, because there's a lot of fucked up things that those nerds do in that movie.
Yeah, but now like lusting after pasty white boys who don't care about other people except their video games.
Now that's what every bitch on TikTok wants, is a pasty white boy who is a sociopath.
I'm sorry I can't be him. I was gonna say the thing with clowns is kind of the opposite with like those horror slashers, is that it was perceived as very like scary, but now it's just very like sexualized. Like,
yeah, that's the opposite end of the horseshoe that things tend to be swing, or the direction that things tend to be swinging in this way. And like Jackson, before we started, asked me, would you rather have horror clowns or sexy clowns? And I didn't want to answer because, like, frankly, and I don't take this deadly serious. This isn't something that I'm gonna fucking strive to fix for the rest of my life. But that question made me mad because I don't think it's a lot to ask that I don't like either of them.
I know you don't like either of them, but in my brain, I'm like, what was the compromise in your head? Because my question originally was, if only one could exist where you had the original clown and you can only have one or the other, what would you feel more comfortable with people perceiving clowns outside of their...
sexy clowns. Yeah, I think that, I think that's safe, to say that I would rather have sexy clowns. But, like, ultimately, it's like, it's the only thing that clowns are perceived as. It controls the clown narrative, which that in and of itself is the problem, in my opinion. Where clowns cannot just be what they are constantly augmented with secondary traits which make them what they are. It can't just be a clown. It has to be a scary clown or a sexy clown. It can't just be a clown, which is funny. And which isn't to say modern day clowns don't exist. I feel like a lot of clowning has been sort of it's been stagnated or halted because they can't really control their image, and they've been spending so much time cleaning up after the fucking freaks who just mess around with people's fucking jobs and make them stigmatized. There has been an evolution of clown in the past 40 years. I very frequently say my favorite clown of all time is Steve-O, because that is a guy who is a professional modern day clown. Not everybody in Jackass, I would say, is a clown, but Steve-O is. And it makes sense because Steve-O also trained at, I don't know if it was Ringlings, but he went to clown college. He was a professional clown for several years, and he used that sort of expertise and knowledge in Jackass and in Wild Boys. So when I do frequently say, Steve-O is my favorite clown, because I think he is, he is, what's the word? Very indicative, or at least he points at what clowning could be for a modern day audience, beyond the old whiteface August hobo clowns that already exist in niche areas like circuses.
Okay,
and stuff.
If we're going to, I agree with you about Steve-O, because I've met Steve-O and I've seen his shows and stuff, his solo acts and whatever. What about Johnny Knoxville? Is that like teetering?
Johnny Knoxville is more. He's more of a ringleader type. He's a presenter. He absolutely is. But not in the same way that I think Steve-O is, because Steve-O is, I don't know how I can really explain. Steve-O views, I think, himself as, or at least in performance, and this is obviously not indicative of who Steve-O is as a person, but in performance, Steve-O tends to let his body act as a vehicle of misfortune. Whereas Johnny Knoxville is more of a presenter who lets bad things happen to him. Which I don't know if that distinction makes sense.
It makes sense because I'm thinking of like the different stunts that these two like different people go through, like through Jackass and stuff, and I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, Johnny Knoxville did the rodeo clown thing, but like he dressed up as a matador, he took the hit and he kept doing it and getting back up. Well, Steve-O dressed up as a mime and did things outside of what a mime should be doing, and it was still like, oh, this feels like a dude who is a mime, as opposed to Johnny Knoxville just feels like a dude jumping into a ring with a bowl and getting the shit kicked out of him.
It's like a guy in a costume as opposed to a guy doing his job. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, and I think that makes sense because Johnny Knoxville didn't go to clown college, and so there's that sort of level of expertise that he doesn't necessarily have. Which isn't to say like, oh, so Johnny Knoxville's the worst. No, I think Johnny Knoxville's he's a phenomenal performer, like one of the best performers in the world at anything.
He's a great performer. He's a great stuntman. He's a great fucking organizer of this shit, because the newest like Jackass film wouldn't have happened without him, and apparently the new series that is happening on fucking Paramount or whatever wouldn't also be happening if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, no, he is very, very good at what he does. But Steve-O is the clown of Jackass, you know. In the traditional sense, they're all fucking clowns in a way, but you know, Steve-O is a capital C clown, a literal clown, if you will.
Literal clown. I don't think it's weird too. Did you see Bad Grandpa with fucking Johnny Knoxville?
No, that sort of live cringe, you know, with other people like Nathan For You and fucking.
Oh, you know, no, it's not cringe.
No,
it is. So we saw the grandpa bit in Jackass Forever. We all watched it together.
Yeah.
Imagine that skit carried out for an hour and a half, and it just fucking works.
I always just assumed it was like a Borat type thing. Okay. All
right. There's a story in it. They make lore for the grandpa.
Huh. Okay.
And that's like it's the grandpa and his grandson just going on a summer trip together, and just this weird shit happens to him, and that's the bit.
I'll have to look into it. Okay.
It's like, and like real people are involved. Like it's a hidden camera thing, but it's like because it's a hidden camera thing, it feels more genuine the way people react.
Right. Yeah.
It's just so like, it's so fucking, it's obviously dated. There's some shit in there that I don't agree with now, but so. Like,
yeah, there's dated shit in Borat, I would assume too. Yeah.
No, there isn't. Don't look into that. But no, Bad Grandpa is a really good film with some issues to it, but like just drawing a skit out into a feature film, you wouldn't think like, oh, whatever, this doesn't work, but like they got it to work, and it was fucking funny, dude. And I'm not saying this because of the way I was raised and the shit I watched. Like, imagine like being an outsider to that kind of culture growing up, and you see that. I still think it's pretty fucking funny.
Well, I don't know if you're necessarily an outsider of that kind of culture, because I mean,
no, I'm saying if you are an outsider of that kind of culture,
okay.
It's still funny.
Gotcha. I imagine so, because like I said, you know, I know about Johnny Knoxville, and I know about how fucking good he is at what he does. You know, I would say it is, you know, it might be sort of pedestrian to say this, but I think that Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville are the most memorable Jackass characters. What's the guy with the very Greek sounding name? It's like fucking
Bam Margera.
No, not Bam Margera. It's I thought there was a guy who straight up like had a name that was like a fucking Greek god or philosopher or something. Hang on, I'm gonna look it up. Jackass.
I was about to say. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Hold on. Before you say it, can I name? Yeah. Let me. Is it fucking? Is it Chris Puntis? Are you thinking of
Pontius?
Chris Puntis? Yeah.
Is it Puntis?
Yeah.
I thought it was Pontius. Well, I mean, yeah, because, you know, Pontius sounds kind of Greek in nature. Yes, Chris Pontius or Puntis is also very good. He's one of the better. There are some members of Jackass who I can't really get behind. Some of them are a little cringe. But you know, those three in my eyes are the fucking the heart and soul of Jackass. That's what I think.
Isn't it weird how like this group of people came together to make this, because it's just like it's a bunch of grungy skaters and stuntmen that just happen to somehow roll in the same circle, and then it became that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, back in the 90s you could do whatever you wanted, and you could make a buck off of it as long as somebody had a camera.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm trying to remember like the fucking what's her name. I'm gonna look it up because like she deserves her name to be said. It's the fucking she was
the comedian that they brought in for Jackass 4, right?
But like everyone was making uproar. They're like, they put a fucking woman in Jackass, it doesn't work. I'm like, dude,
no, did you fucking see that?
Fucking her name is Rachel Wolfson. The only reason she was in Jackass is because it was fucking Steve-O, Johnny, and I guess some of the producers from Dick House watched her comedy performance in a club that they were at. Like, they didn't mean to see her show, but they watched her show, really liked her, and after the show walked up to her and they were like, hey, do you want to be in Jackass? And it's just like,
what an honor.
Like Johnny Knoxville's a fucking genius.
That's like fucking being asked to join Jackass is like being asked if you want to fucking host the Oscars. Mm-hmm. I would say no to both, because I don't think I'm cut out to be in Jackass. I think that very few people are. but I would consider that an extremely high honor. To say nothing of like, oh, but it's just a bunch of fucking assholes getting hurt. Like, I don't care. I've said this for a long time. I think the distinction between high art and low art is stupid and in a way kind of. I don't want to say fascist because that's a strong word, but it is inherently destructive to the art form, and it's very capitalistic in nature. But I digress. To be asked to be on Jackass because of Jackass's legacy and fame and everything that it has done to impact all like American media, that to be in Jackass is to have an extremely high honor, so I mean I don't think I'm saying anything necessarily groundbreaking here, but that's what I think.
It was I grew up around that culture of like Jackass and whatnot, and around that time like all of my friends who were also
Spike
like
TV culture, you might
like
say,
shitty skater kids, we were all like, dude, it'd be awesome to be on Jackass, but like there was other things like that were trying to imitate Jackass as well, but in their own kind of little niche thing. Like if you were a dirt biker, which my brothers and my dad were, right? You wouldn't look at Jackass and be like, I want to be on Jackass. You would look at a thing called Nitro Circus.
I was going to say Nitro Circus, yeah, because that's one that I put on because I was like, oh, it's just like more Jackass or more Wild Boys, right? No, so something way different.
It is something way different. It is these extreme sports dudes not hurting themselves. It's these extreme sports dudes like Travis Pastrana and sometimes Tony Hawk would come on and whatnot and be like, I want to do this jump or this stunt, but I want to do it in the most dangerous way possible. And
yeah, that's cool.
I don't want to get hurt. I want to do this stunt. I want to land it, as opposed to Jackass, which is like, what's the dumbest fucking thing we can do? And if we get hurt, so be it.
Is Rob Dyrdek a piece of shit?
Rob Dyrdek is not a piece of shit. He's a weirdo. After Big died, it was very hard on him because like that was his like lifelong friend.
Yeah.
And he kind of spiraled for a bit. He kind of didn't show his face in public. He dropped off of MTV for a while, and then he came back after, because Rob Dyrdek got really big with DC shoes. He's like one of the dudes for like DC. So
right. I know he's on Ridiculousness now.
Well, that's his show. Right. Ridiculousness is his show. It's him toning down his style and being like, let's just look at funny shit and do whatever we want. I'll bring on people that I really like and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So he's not a piece of shit. He's the I found God and I am now rich and I'm going to like try to impose my business lifestyle onto you. He's the fucking... He's
evangelist.
Yeah, of like business shit. He got a very beautiful wife. He has 2 wonderful kids that I follow him on Instagram and shit, and I see some of the stuff he put out, and I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about your handbags or whatever. I'm happy you're happy and like could find peace after losing your friend. Like that's
as long as he's as long as he's not like a piece of shit.
He's not.
That's just something I've had in the back of my head for a while, I'm glad that it's not true because I remember my brother really liked Robin Big. And so I had at least, that's like one of the skaters that aren't Tony Hawk that I know the name of, know. In fact, I don't know if I could name a single other skater beyond like the guys in Jackass.
Do you want me to give you some?
Sure. I'll tell you if I've heard of them.
Chad Muska.
No.
Really? He was in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2.
I didn't really play those games. I just knew Tony Hawk because Tony Hawk was like the skateboard guy, I know, his name is coming to my head, but I know the guy who like invented all the tricks. The guy who invented like all the flat ground street tricks and stuff.
Fucking Nathan Pratt.
Yeah, is it Nathan Pratt?
Well, are you talking about like the Z-Boy, like the dude who like became like the guy who invented like the fucking the skateboarding tricks, like the fucking like. Because skateboarding around that time wasn't like on streets and stuff. It was on a course, and you followed the course, and you wore your helmet, your pads, and your knee guards, and then you went at it. As opposed,
hang on, I'm googling guy who created the most the most skateboard tricks. Rodney Mullen.
Oh,
Rodney Mullen.
Okay, yeah, because there's Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Ryan Sheckler, Dyrdek, Danny Way, fucking Eric Costin, and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Andrew Reynolds.
Right. Those are the people that I know. Well, actually, I should say I know Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Bam Margera,
Ryan Sheckler.
I don't know that one. No.
You don't know Sheckler. You know Rob Dyrdek.
I know Rob. Yeah, I know Rob Dyrdek.
Fucking
Steve-O.
Brandon Novak.
Say again.
Brandon Novak.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
He rolls with Bam Margera. Like in that early stage of those tapes coming out for Element, it was Bam Margera, Novak, and all of them like doing tricks and shit.
I think I want to just like watch some Viva La Bam, just because like I want to see because that's such a like a 2005 show, you know. I want to see. It's like it's gonna be shitty, and I know it's just him like being shitty to his family, who is also shitty. You know, especially his uncle, fucking uncle. What's his name?
Don't feed
the guy
Phil.
Who died. Yeah. Him.
Is it Phil? Hold on.
I think it's.
Let's look this up because I don't think it's Fat Phil. I thought Phil was his dad. Bam Margera uncle. Because who the fuck? This conversation. This is the first light I think people have.
Don Vito.
Oh yeah, fucking Uncle Vito.
What
was I saying? This is
the conversation.
This is the first light I think where people can get an insight to our conversations, like our real conversations that we have with each other. Because this
most of the time Robbie is spurring us on to fight.
Yeah. Which like we don't really that's fight. Fine. We don't really fight. We just get loud and we continue our conversation.
I think I think the most Jackson has ever been frustrated with me is recently I like lost a microphone or I misplaced it because like it was on my desk and then it just like went away and I had no idea where it went and it was an expensive microphone and that was the most frustrated I've ever seen Jackson. And then even then we've like resolved that. I mean obviously I still owe him, but
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So
I pushed it out of my mind because I didn't want to be mad at my best friend.
Yeah. So and a lot of our discussions are not as funny as I mean, some of them are funny, but like a lot of the time we just talk about things and like normal things,
stuff and things. Fucking
things we're interested in,
dude. The evolution of like you talking about like the fucking the devolving of clowning, like the fucking evolution of skateboarding is so fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
Fucking just like these people keep finding new ways and new tricks to like do with their boards and like
skateboarders keep getting fucking younger, dude. Like there was like a fucking 12-year-old that did a 900, right, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like these kids are like, well, because before it was hard because
right.
Me and you, we had people like Tony Hawk and all of them to like, oh, I can do that or I want to do that. And then you do it, and then you realize you're like, oh, I can innovate on this. But now we're the age of when we were looking at Tony Hawk. Damn. We were looking at Tony Hawk in his like 20s and stuff, and now we're at that point where we're just like, dude, people are looking at us now and innovating the shit we do.
They're looking at us. Hey, I hope there are no 8-year-olds watching that want to be Let's Players.
Don't be a Let's Player.
Don't be a Let's Player. YouTube is a dying. Let's Playing as a medium probably will not be here in 10 years. I'm fucking grasping at straws for what I can do with my career before the industry crumbles out from under me.
Blows up, and I have to go back to using my degree. If you want to see like real evolution of skateboarding, I think Scratch might have shown you these before, but Fancy Lad skateboarding videos.
Yeah, Fancy Lad and fucking Jenkum and shit like that.
Yeah, because like they fuck with their boards. Nobody has fucked with the board before until like when fucking Z-Man in 1974 started doing tricks on the street, and the boards went from fishtail surfer boards to the boards we know now, the shape we know now. And then these dudes came along and they're like, what if we like did shit with our boards? What if our boards like transformed in the air and like we cut our board in half, put a fucking door hinge on it so that way when we kickflip it lands on another set of trucks and becomes a different type of skateboard in the middle of the trick.
Have you seen Death Skateboards by Richie Jackson's?
Yes.
That is one of my favorite skate videos of all time because it's just like some fucking like straight like a 70s hippie guy just doing the most insane street skating that I've ever seen, where he'll like do a fucking, what's that thing where you like grab your board behind your leg? What's that called? Do you know?
Grabbing it behind your leg? Like does he like bring it back to the front?
Yeah, well here, I'll take a picture of it or I'll screenshot it real quick and I'll send it to you. It's like a specific type of grab like this.
Oh yeah, fucking just like a fakie, just fucking grabbing that shit.
Yeah. He does like a fakie, and then he'll like surf down a hill on a no entry sign, and then he'll get back on his board. And
wait, no, that's not a fakie. If he's still he still has a foot on board. He's doing a melon push.
Okay. Don't sneeze on me, you fucking freak. My dog just sneezed on me. But yeah, he's just doing stuff like that. He's like fucking gliding over tables and fucking like he'll spin his skateboard out down on a rock while he's like between two trees, and then he'll jump back on it and shit like that. It's the coolest thing. I think it's so cool that people are beginning to see, like, you know, the trick when you're doing skateboarding tricks. You don't have to do the tricks to the skateboard. The tricks happen to your body while you're moving. Yeah. Which is sort of like a very simplistic way to say it, but it's still, you know, I don't think inaccurate.
Kind of looks like a Benihana too. I don't know. This is like a weird grab. This is not like a grab I know. This is just a dude.
This is not a textbook grab.
This is a dude where I'm like, he's just grabbing his board and doing whatever the fuck he wants, and that's fine.
He's just being a funky.
He's being cool with it, which is like that's skateboarding.
Anyway, to bring it back to my original point, I don't think clowns should be sexy.
You know what? At the end of the day,
if you like sexy clowns, I'm not gonna fucking poo poo on you. I just think that it's a shame that clowns can't be just clowns, and they have to be sexy or flirty or cute. That's what I think.
It's the fucking Twitter flavor of the month, and I'm sorry that I'm sorry that it affects you negatively.
I don't accept your apology.
I'm
fuck you.
I'm not apologizing for everybody who's making you witness it. I'm saying I'm sorry that me as your friend that you were going through this, and there's nothing I can really do to help you.
I'm like I said, I don't take this deadly serious.
It still sucks, dude. Though, like fucking. Yeah,
I wouldn't consider myself like a clown. I would consider myself a clown in some ways, in that I play a character who very frequently, you know, gets his comeuppance, you know, or just has misfortunate shit happen to him. In that way, I am a clown, because that's what, you know, clowning typically is, or at least it's what clown performances are like.
Right.
You know, but I don't think I would say, like, yeah, I'm a clown. I don't think I would boldly claim that. You don't need a license or anything to be a clown. You don't need to go through training to be a clown. But even still, I feel like there's certain aspects that I haven't really taken on to my full persona. But I would consider myself a clown enthusiast at this point.
That's fair. Yeah. Before we wrap up, have you seen the King of the Hill episode where Bobby goes to clown school?
Nah.
I think you should watch that, because
I've seen the episode where they go to Japan, and Grandpa or Hank has a brother who is Japanese, and he just looks like Hank Hill but with Japanese
features. Yeah.
I
think you would really enjoy that episode, because a lot of what you are talking about being a clown is what Bobby feels like throughout that episode.
Yeah. I'll consider that.
It is the conflict between old style theater Shakespearean masquerading clowns to white face clowns. I think you should watch that episode.
There's a whole lot about clowns I don't know, but you know what? There's a whole lot of clowns I'd love to learn. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to episode, what is it, like 5 of Lite?
Fuck if I know.
Who cares? It's a Lite. We don't number these. Thanks for listening, and hey, we got a full week of content ahead. Look forward to it. And another regular episode next week of Liars4Hire. So look forward to that. I hope so. I sure hope so.
Oh, shit.
Bye.
Bye.